Alright, just to satisfy expectations, I will begin by saying, Nick, you ignorant slut. Yeah, okay, it's a quote from a Saturday Night Live episode. But anyway, yeah, really, the cussing thing, okay, so it bothers you, got it. Alright, I'll try to reduce it to a minimum in your presence. But whatever. Alright, so on to the discussion. We are on the subject of, can humanity find some way to organize itself that's going to be reasonably efficient, has some possibility of being sustainable, enduring, especially in this mechanized technical world where there is power to screw up the environment and kill billions of people. Yeah, I think there is. I mean, obviously, I think there's reason to be hopeful. I mean, we sort of have progressed, slowly, but we're doing it. And this crisis might be the perfect opportunity for the rational people to, do something, to seize some influence on the system and make it work better. Make the structure of the human condition, or however you want to describe it, improve that. There's a prospect that this might be the opportunity. Might be the only opportunity. Who knows? We don't know how big a mess we're going to make. We don't know, look, tomorrow a nuclear bomb could start World War III, and that's the end. But I think it's there. I mean, I think, we've had this mass communication. I mean, people are so much more. I mean, yes, people are idiots and assholes and ignorant, but I mean, compared to what they were 200 years ago, they have a lot more facts, and they have a lot more access to knowledge, and they can certainly think a lot more independently. They're not as controlled by the memes of their cultures as they used to be, and especially with the internet, we see it now. I mean, there's all this international conversation. We're getting really getting past being little programmed robots, serving the master society and all that stuff. And with all that free thinking, I think there's an atmosphere. I think it just creates. I think it just happens where, new ideas have a chance to get a fair hearing. Sorry, unscheduled interruption. Okay, so it's a fair hearing. So anyway, we don't have the option of starting from scratch, and that would be a huge advantage. It'd be a huge advantage if we were just going to say, let's invent a game, and then we could put human beings in it, and we could say, well, this is what they're going to need, and this is what they're going to desire, and they're going to have all this little diversity, and we could put in all the variables and say, well, this is the system we need to create to make this thing called fairness, and to make this game play right for each individual. And but we don't have that, so we have to grandfather in all this crap, the tradition, all the artifacts of the past. We have to make room for all these little monuments, God and this and this and this. All these little bullshit monuments to the past are going to have to be, they're still sacred, so they're still going to have to be part of the game we play. But I think if there is a fair fight, I mean, if I think we can create enough of a system, the system that designs the system, that creates a mechanism where ideas have to be heard anyway. I mean, even if they're not fully understood, they at least have to be heard. Fairness will win, because I think most people know unfairness when they see it. So again, we're sort of back to this argument that I think it's so, people can say the word rights, and it's just so hard to figure out rights. But it's really easy to figure out our responsibilities. I mean, that's not as hard a question. And the same thing is with fairness. I mean, it's made obvious by the opposite. I mean, we know what unfair is. We know it's unfair to force one person to, subsidize somebody else's life, or to pay like it's not fair for me to clean up a party mess when I wasn't invited to the party, or when I had no interest in going to the party. And that's sort of like, it's just obvious that's what this whole bailout crap is, this whole stock market shit. They all want the people who weren't playing the game, weren't risking anything, just wanted to live their life and be able to put money in the bank and have it be worth something. And these assholes decided to turn it all into shit. and so it's their mess, it's their party. Fuck them, they clean it up. So, you know, Social Security, another example, and we can see the obviously stupid unfairness of saying, well, let's make the payroll taxpayers pay years in advance for their Social Security, so the income taxpayers can borrow the trust fund and invest the money in the stock market. I mean, it's just so obvious. It's such obvious bullshit. And, you know, it's just so ironic. I mean, McCain talks about like there was some great success, that there was this bipartisan improvement in the Social Security system. It wasn't an improvement. They sit there and stole the money from the lower and middle classes in their payroll taxes to finance deficit spending. I mean, it was just a pile of shit. I mean, unfairness is obvious once it's explained to somebody. And like I said, we have the vehicles now for explaining. I mean, Nick the Modern Mystic is on YouTube talking about, you know, peak oil, and there's other things happening. I mean, okay, so it's 700 people out of 6.5 billion. It's not huge progress, but it's goddamn progress. I mean, we're getting to a point where people can be informed enough to make rational decisions, and it's just not going to be, I'm going to vote for it because he's going to vote for it, and he's going to vote for it because he's going to vote for it, and he's going to vote for it because he's his brother-in-law and he's going to make $1 million on the deal. You know, we can really get beyond that kind of crap. So yeah, I think democracy can work. I think we can improve the hell out of it. I think we can make government so much more representative of the people. We can get this stupid special interest crap out of the game. You know, so really, all policy will have to be, will have to earn its keep. We'll have to earn its it turning into law. And because what we have now is we have these stupid compromises made ahead of time. The whole game is rigged, and we end up with a bunch of law that has nothing to do with the will of the majority. It just has to do with the will of some special interest. And a lot of that we can get rid of that and make it a fair debate over what the rules are going to be. And like I've said, is that we can take any system, we can take the economic system, and we can strip the inefficiencies out of it. We can figure out that, you know, extending my analogy of there being spectators, players, and owners, we can get rid of those owners. We don't need the owners. We can make a contract between the players and the spectators. The owners just get in the way, and we can create systems that work because we can take the unproductive. My light just cracked. Holy shit. I'm gonna have to get a new one, I guess. Whole glass thing's gonna fall any minute, probably. But anyway, where I was, yeah. So, you know, but we can build systems that we can construct a system. We can construct a mechanism through which there's a fair fight for what's going to happen. What we all get to vote on it, so to speak, and it's an informed vote. And I think in that process, some of the stuff is so simple that people will tend to vote for what is fair. That fairness can win the argument. I mean, even in the ignorant class, that fairness can win the argument. So I think that's the bottom line. I mean, I think we're smart enough to get this shit, and it's only that what stopped it in the past is that people have been just, you know, dumb as a rock. I mean, you know, the leaders were dumb, the peasants were dumb, nobody had any real vision. Nobody really even knew what we were. I mean, they kept waiting for God to fix things. They kept praying to a fucking totem pole and hoping it changed the weather. We know how the weather works now. We know how the mechanics work. And we understand the mechanics of our social system. We know it's just an engineered governmental system. It's an engineered system that we, the people, can make anything we want to make it. It's not thrown on us by God. It's not thrown on us by any force except our own disinterest, our interest in making it better or making it worse. You know, and if everybody's going to be a selfish fucktard, well, then we're fucked. But I think people can step beyond it enough to say, yes, for the sake of having a civilization, I can make a few little compromises. I mean, I think it really is possible. So let me just make sure there wasn't anything really important. Like I said, we're not starting from scratch, so that is a huge disadvantage. But as I'll just throw in, I mean, they're tearing down Yankee Stadium, so I mean, obviously change can happen. People can let go of the past. They can move to a new future. It can happen. I mean, it's something I never thought would ever happen. And I'm not saying it's a good thing necessarily, but I'm just saying they're doing it. And I think, as Armando said, we can find the grotesque flaws. We can find the broken pieces and just keep pulling the broken out, and you'll finally be left with the good stuff. But we really don't have a mechanism for doing that. The accountability is really hugely broken. I mean, we get this vote every 8 years for these, every 4 years for these two fucktards that aren't really a good choice. We can make this system design much better. And if we improve that enough, I really think fairness can win the fight.